Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Natalia Moczulska, and this is the news. The Polish Sejm has passed a resolution on foreign interference in elections. The document, prepared by Law and Justice deputies, states that the actions taken by leading EU politicians, including the chairman of the European People's Party, Manfred Weber, fulfill the characteristics of unacceptable interference by a foreign state.
The Republic of Poland regards any foreign interference in the Polish electoral process as an act hostile to the Polish state and will resolutely combat it. 234 deputies voted in favor of the resolution, 175 voted against it, and 10 abstained. The vote was preceded by a heated debate. He who pays demands. Konrad Adenauer Stiftung does not pay for, among other things, the organization of Rafał Trzaskowski's political campus, for Sławomir Nitras, who speaks in a German voice, not to appear here at this moment. You don't even pretend. You stand by Germany. Ladies and gentlemen, I am addressing the Poles. We have no enemies among our allies. We don't have enemies among the countries that created the best political project so far, the European Union or NATO, but we have enemies in the East. In early August, the head of the European People's Party accused Poland of violating the rule of law. Manfred Weber noted that adherence to democratic values is a condition for further cooperation with the European Union. Every party must accept the rule of law. This is a barrage against the representatives of law and justice in Poland, who systematically attack the rule of law and free media. We will not falter in these three principles. Whoever accepts this can be a democratic partner, a competitor, a political rival, but a democratic partner. All others who do not adhere to this, like the German AfD, like Le Pen in France, or Peace in Poland, are our enemies and will be fought by us. We are dealing with an unprecedented situation. Manfred Weber, who makes no secret of his sympathies for Donald Tusk, has attacked law and justice before as well. In June of this year, the chairman of the European People's Party indicated that his grouping is the only force capable of replacing law and justice in Poland. Supporting someone is perfectly normal, but saying one will build a firewall, saying that one will fight someone, to say that one wants to replace a particular party elected by the people in a particular country, this is overstepping the bounds. The resolution adopted yesterday stressed that starting in 2015, the government of Poland has been experiencing constant attacks from groups dominating the EU political scene. In 2007, Lisbon decided on the division of powers in the European Union to guarantee sovereign states the possibility of self-determination. Brussels, on the other hand, notoriously tries to break out of the decisions made then. Using the example of the Qatargate, we could see this. The states that had the means to do so simply corrupted some Europarliamentarians who were supposed to implement and convince them to realize the interests, but not even of a particular state of the European Union, but of someone already completely foreign. The Constitution in Article 4 unequivocally states the supreme power in Poland is exercised by the people, and only the people can decide who is elected. And interference from the outside, as we have here, there are many such examples. But recently already these statements by Manfred Weber have crossed all boundaries. In the European Parliament, the largest number of seats is held by the European People's Party, which in addition to the German Christian Democrats includes MEPs from PO and PSL. Rather, the threat comes from the use of instruments to influence the situation in Poland, material instruments above all, maneuvering the European Union's finances by denying sums due to Poland. This can be done by the European People's Party, and I think that the party should not interfere in the internal affairs of absolutely any member state, even if it sympathizes with certain groups. The draft resolution states that the attempt to interfere in the electoral process is contrary to European values, the principle of democracy and national sovereignty.
According to journalists from the U.S. daily Washington Post, Russia's General Staff of the Armed Forces Military Intelligence Service tried to build a network of collaborators via the internet designed to engage in sabotage in order to disrupt arms shipments to Ukraine. Among those targeted was Poland's critical infrastructure, railroads, ports, and energy.
Job postings for Russian speakers appeared in Poland. It involved spreading pro-Russian propaganda on behalf of an anonymous employer. Next, recruits were tasked with gathering intelligence at Polish seaports, placing cameras along railroads, and hiding tracking devices in military cargo. Then in March came surprising new orders to derail trains carrying weapons to Ukraine. The secret employer was Russia's General Staff of the Armed Forces Military Intelligence Agency. The foiled operation represented the most serious Russian threats to NATO NATO territory since Moscow launched its invasion of Ukraine last year. The Russians' goal was to disrupt the arms supply corridor through Poland, through which more than 80% of the military equipment delivered to Ukraine passes. The Russians used such a method to make it difficult to directly later link such actions to their regime. But one must be aware of the nature of the Putin regime and who Putin is in order to know what type of instruments they use to act against a key state, not only on NATO's eastern flank, but key from the point of view of the war Russia is waging. And I remind you, this is the biggest war since the end of World War II, the consequence of which is a radical geopolitical change in Europe, which translates into a global dimension, therefore destroying or disrupting key logistical elements of the state, for example, precisely by blowing up railroads or derailing weapons transports, was and is an obvious goal of Russian service activity.
The United States has approved sending F-16 fighter jets to Ukraine from Denmark and the Netherlands, just after the first Ukrainian pilots have been trained. Fierce fighting continued near Bakhmut as part of Ukrainian counteroffensive. Meanwhile, President Zelensky thanks the West for its military assistance and announces a complete replacement of the personnel managing the military recruitment commands.
Ukraine has regained control of part of the territory around Bakhmut. In total, in the Donbass, the Ukrainian army has liberated more than 40 square kilometers and about 20 square kilometers in the south of the country, near Berdyansk and Melitopol. The fighting for Bakhmut, a strategic town, is one of the bloodiest episodes of the Russian invasion of Ukraine. The Russians fought to capture the city from August 2022 until May 20th, 2023, when the city's defenders retreated. Now the Ukrainian army is conducting an effective counteroffensive. The Interior Ministry has released footage showing fighting in the village of Klishchiyivka, a few kilometers south of Bakhmut, which had previously been declared occupied by the Russians. Washington is giving the green light to send Ukraine the F-16 multi-role combat aircraft currently in the possession of the Dutch and Danish air forces. The U.S. will speed up the procedure so that the machines can be handed over as soon as the first group of Ukrainian pilots receive training, but no specific date has been disclosed for now. Ukrainian Air Force spokesman Yuri Ihnat said the matter has moved forward, but the F-16s will not be handed over until the end of this year. The coalition pushing for the transfer of the aircraft to Ukraine is led by the Netherlands and the United Kingdom. The former is replacing its F-16 fleet with more modern aircraft, and the latter is pledging to help with training. Denmark, Belgium, and Norway are also ready to hand over their machines. There is currently no exact information on how many F-16s in total will end up in the hands of the Ukrainians. However, The Hague and Copenhagen, according to experts, could hand over about 30 aircraft. Today, I would like to mention our cooperation with the Germans. Gradually, our agreements are being implemented. 2 new Iris-T launchers have been delivered to Ukraine. This is a powerful and much-needed air defense system. We thank Germany for helping to protect us from Russian terror. Today, as part of a presidential decree, the decision of the National Security and Defense Council on the results of inspections of military commissaires and the work of recruitment centers came into effect. The entire management team is to be replaced. Now the work of the territorial recruitment centers will be charged by those who have really gone through combat operations, so they understand how and whom to select for our defense and security forces.
Сил оборони та безпеки саме такі воїни будуть керувати роботою територіальних центрів комплектування.
Боятися – це нормально.
Are you afraid? That's normal. Getting to know your fear is strength. We need strong people. Update your information in the recruitment center. Strength overcomes fear.
Оновлюй дані в ТЦК. Сила перемагає страх.
Are you afraid? That's normal. Knowing your fear is courage. We need courageous people. Courage is overcoming fear. Update your information in the recruitment center.
Нам потрібні мужні. Оновлюй дані в ТЦК. Мужність перемагає страх.
Authorities in the Polish capital of Warsaw captured a glimpse of the city's past when they uncovered the remains of long-lost streets buried underground during the construction of a square.
Towering over the square is the Palace of Culture, the socialist realist tower, gifted to the city in the 1950s by Soviet dictator Joseph Stalin. Builders have uncovered the foundations of the buildings that lined what was once Złota Street, complete with paving stones and tram tracks around 1.5 meters below the ground. Where we are standing before World War II, there was a sea of tenement blocks. The whole area was densely built up with few-story high tenement buildings. There were several dozens of blocks in the area, which is now being reconstructed, and no trace of them was left, or practically no trace because we are digging up the traces in the ground. The foundations of these blocks still remain deep under the square. What is more, the almost complete surface of Złota Street, which was in the place we are standing right now, was also intact, including paving stones and tram tracks, which were used before World War II. Also on the site of the new square, there is a stone platform, which was used by communist dignitaries to watch military parades. For example, Labor Day on May 1st, the most important date in the socialist calendar. Underneath the platform are rooms, which were used by the leaders, and which during the 1990s, following the fall of communism, were used as a nightclub. What we see directly behind me is a stone platform, which is another layer of history. The layer which was built on top of the pre-war city. On its rubble, it was a symbol of post-war communist Warsaw. May military parades, which were the biggest celebration of that era, were watched from this platform by communist dignitaries. There are rooms under this platform, and these rooms were used by communist dignitaries to get some rest and freshen up after the speech. It was kind of a technical room for high officials who were speaking from the platform. The central square, due to open next year, will be a green space in the center of the city that will reflect the layout of the old streets that once existed there, the council says.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Please stay tuned for Poland Daily Weather, Poland Daily Business, and some of our other programs. But for me, it's have a wonderful evening.